Hi everyone, I'm Nintendo Universe, and today I'm talking about a theory/video on the flaw with each Legend of Zelda game. Know that I'm not going to point many things out of a Legend of Zelda game and leave it with a bad reputation, no. I'm going over 2 flaws that are in every Zelda game. And first, we'll go through one thing. These are not my pet peeves. I know that many people struggle with this thing. So these are all mine. While I do feel the same for them, I didn't just make these from my own opinion. Now let's start with the weaker flaw, is the enemy boost. It's not, oh, enemies are using cheat codes. No, this is, they're stronger than you out of nowhere. I'll explain here soon. In the Legend of Zelda series, many temples and overworld enemies have been known to be very strong against their current health. Like in Ocarina of Time, many enemies in temples can be stronger than you, especially in the Shadow Temple, when you will experience many challenges that are over what you've already seen. While the Shadow Temple is very far into the game, that doesn't mean that you have to know exact things to make it through the game. And one thing I figured out when I was going through my first playthrough of Ocarina of Time, I was going to the Forest Temple and many moblins were in my way. I tried to defeat them with everything I had and ended up dying multiple times. I ended up having to use bombs. While this wasn't effective and I had to kill myself off so that I could get more bombs many times, it was the easiest way I could do it without dying multiple times. While I know it wasn't the right way, it was the only way I could find. So, enemy boosts are not only in Breath of the Wild when you would experience a moblin high above your health that you encounter since it's an open world. You won't be strong enough and they kill you. And this isn't only in those 2 games, of course. A Link Between Worlds has many examples of that. If you go in Lorule, the opposite of Hyrule, in A Link Between Worlds, and you travel to Death Mountain, you will experience a tough time with many Hinoxes and Lynels. While I could defeat them by sneaking up behind them and getting in their blind spot, it took a long while. And I even went further to try to defeat them head on, and it never worked. Yes, if you get more Master Ore, you'll get more powerful, and maybe I'm just not good at defeating Lynels in Link Between Worlds. Probably alright, but I would at least be kind of good at it, right? I mean, I do play Legend of Zelda games all the time. While I play other games like Kirby Star Allies, in those games, there's no such thing as enemy boosts. That's why this video is called The Flaw with Each Legend of Zelda game. Now, let's get on to the second flaw that's the worst. And you might be surprised by what it is. Maybe. So, this flaw I'm talking about is the flaw of guessing, or the internet of the Legend of Zelda games. Very recently, I was going through Wind Waker. I've had my tough times with that game before, but I went in for another long playthrough. And I found one thing very hard. While this was my first playthrough of Wind Waker, I had a very difficult time figuring out how to get teleportation. So then I watched an internet video, right? Here's the problem. I wouldn't have had to if the game told me more about this. And here's what I mean on telling me. The King of Red Lions could have at least given me a hint to this. Instead, I had to go on the internet for it. While Breath of the Wild is not the same, I've played the game before, meaning that I know the sense of backtracking, and Breath of the Wild doesn't have much of that. Actually, unless you do a lot of side quests, there's none of that. So Breath of the Wild is practically in the clear from this, but other games like The Wind Waker, for me, and probably a lot of other people, and also mainly Ocarina of Time, and games related to that, like A Link to the Past, a lot of things in that game were hard to understand. Like if you're trying to get to one temple, but you need a certain something, then you try to figure it out. If you can't, then you try to think about it. You can't. Then you, look it up on the internet. So that's like the flaw with each Legend of Zelda game. Sometimes the depth of adventure can go a little too far. So that's the flaw with each Legend of Zelda game. If there's another thing that you think is wrong with the games, then leave it in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.